Hello and welcome to my channel. Bogdan #7.
Bruh. The year 1975 marked the 26th season of Formula One. 14 races were scheduled, one fewer than the previous year, with the Canadian Grand Prix being omitted. However, the excitement was palpable following the dramatic conclusion of the last season. Welcome to the 1975 Formula One season. The season kicked off with the Argentine Grand Prix, where all eyes were on local hero Carlos Reutemann. He secured third place in qualifying, trailing the pole-sitter Jarier in the new shadow car and Carlos Pace. Jarier's transmission failed during the warm-up lap, allowing Reutemann to take an early lead. Wilson Fittipaldi, owner and sole driver for the newly formed Sucope supercar Fittipaldi team, survived a major crash unscathed. Emerson Fittipaldi, the reigning world champion from McLaren, clinched victory, followed by Hunt, Reutemann, Regazzoni, Depailler, and Lauda. In Brazil, Jarier claimed pole position again, this time with Fittipaldi just behind him. Pace triumphed following another DNF from Jarier, leading to a Brazilian one to finish with Emerson Fittipaldi. They were followed by Jochen Mass, Regazzoni, Lauda, and Hunt. At Calami, La Lombardi made history as the second woman to compete in a Formula One Grand Prix. Pace earned pole position ahead of Reutemann and the local favorite Scheckter. Scheckter dominated early on to secure a victory after a severe crash in practice. The race concluded with Reutemann, Depailler, Pace, Lauda and Mass trailing him. In Spain, safety concerns about the circuit led to a single practice session, followed by the race. Lauda secured the pole position in these circumstances. The race was halted following several incidents, including Ralf Stromelun's crash, which tragically resulted in the death of 5 spectators. With half points awarded, Mass emerged victorious, followed by X, Reutemann, Jarier, Brambilla, and Lombardi, who scored points for the first time for a woman in Formula One history. In Monaco, Lauda claimed pole position with Price and Jarier close behind. Lauda won the wet dry race, with Fittipaldi, Pace, Peterson, Depailler, and Mass completing the top positions. At Zolder, Lauda was once again on pole, with Pace and Brambilla in pursuit. The championship's new leader, Lauda, emerged as the season's first double winner. Following him were Scheckter, Reutemann, Depailler, Regazzoni, and Price. In Sweden, Brambilla secured pole position, flanked by Depailler and Jarier. Lauda clinched his third consecutive victory, leading Reutemann, Regazzoni, Andretti, Donahue, and Bryce. Mid-season, Lauda was ahead of Reutemann by 10 points in the driver's standings, while Ferrari led Brabham Ford Cosworth by a mere 2 points in the constructors' tally. The season's second half began at Zandvoort, with Lauda on pole, followed by Regazzoni. A fierce duel ensued between Lauda and Hunt, with the latter triumphing to claim his first Grand Prix win ahead of Lauda, Regazzoni, Reutemann, Pace, and Price. At Paul Ricard, Lauda was again on pole, quickly taking the lead, withstood pressure, and ultimately secured victory over Hunt, Mass, Emerson Fittipaldi, Andretti, and Depailler. Price surprisingly took pole at Silverstone, with Pace and Lauda trailing. Emerson Fittipaldi won the race halted due to flooding, beating Pace, Scheckter, Hunt, Donahue, and Brambilla. The championship moved to Germany, where Lauda claimed pole position. Facing tire issues, Lauda saw Reutemann take the win, followed by Lafitte, Lauda, Price, Alan Jones, and Van Lennep. In Austria, the tragic accident in practice that claimed Mark Donohue's life weighted heavily on the drivers, and the rain shortened the race, resulting in Brambilla's victory, with Hunt, Price, Mass, Peterson, and Lauda trailing. At Monza, Lauda had a chance to clinch the championship, secured pole, and finished third, enough to win the driver's title. Regazzoni won the race, followed by Emerson Fittipaldi, Lauda, of course, Reutemann, Hunt, and Price. The season concluded in the US, where Lauda, starting for pole, won the race with Emerson Fittipaldi, Mass, Hunt, Peterson, and Scheckter finishing behind him. Thus, Lauda secured the Drivers' Championship, followed by Fittipaldi, Reutemann, Hunt, Regazzoni, and many others. In the Constructors' competition, Ferrari triumphed over Brabham Ford, McLaren Ford, and others. A notable event occurred following the season finale. Graham Hill and his team's driver, Tony Bryce, tragically lost their lives in a plane crash. Rest in peace. The 1976 F1 season was set to host 16 races, marking a significant shift as Fittipaldi joined Copper's car and Hunt stepped into his place at McLaren. What would be the impact of this change? To understand, let's delve in what is considered the most thrilling F1 season of the 70s. The season kicked off in Brazil after the cancellation of the Argentinian Grand Prix. Hunt secured pole position, outpacing Lauda and Regazzoni. Following Hunt's retirement, Lauda clinched victory, followed by the pilot Price, Stack, Scheckter, and Mass. In South Africa, Hunt again took pole but couldn't fend off Lauda, who won over Hunt, Mass, Scheckter, John Watson, and Andretti. The inaugural US Grand Prix West took place at Long Beach, with Regazzoni on pole. He ultimately triumphed in a Ferrari 1 to finish with Lauda, leaving the pilot Laffite, Mass, and Emerson Fittipaldi trailing. Ferrari and Lauda were dominant at this point. The European leg began in Jarama with the Spanish Grand Prix. Lauda, having suffered a non-Formula 1 accident and feeling unwell, still competed. Tyrrell introduced a six-wheeled car, with the pilot qualifying third behind pole sitter Hunt and Lauda. Hunt emerged victorious over an ailing Lauda, newcomer Gunnar Nilsson, Reutemann, Eamon, and Passe. Initially disqualified for a whip violation, Hunt was reinstated in July. At Zolder, Lauda claimed pole ahead of Regazzoni and Hunt. With Hunt retiring, Lauda led another Ferrari 1-2 with Regazzoni, followed by Laffite in the new Ligier, Scheckter, Jones, and Mass. The teams reconvened for the Monaco Grand Prix, where Lauda again took pole from Regazzoni. Lauda won unchallenged, with Scheckter's six-wheeled Tyrrell securing second and the podium finish, ahead of the Depay, Stack, Mass, and Emerson Fittipaldi. Lauda held a 32 point over his closest rival, Hunt. In Sweden, Scheckter claimed pole, flanked by Andretti and a surprising Eamon. With Eamon and then Andretti retiring, Tyrrell's six-wheeled car achieved the 1-2 finish with Scheckter leading the pilot. A less dominant Ferrari followed with Lauda, then Laffite, Hunt, and another Ferrari of Regazzoni. At Paul Ricard, Hunt secured pole position over Lauda. Lauda initially led but retired, as did Regazzoni. Hunt claimed victory, followed by the pilot Watson, Passe, Andretti, and Scheckter. The season's intrigue heightened as we move on to Brands Hatch for the British Grand Prix, with Lauda on pole again. Hunt was involved in a first lap collision, resulting in a red flag race. He repaired his car in the pits but was disqualified for not completing a lap. Despite protests from the British crowd and being allowed to race initially, he faced disqualification again after post-race objections from other teams. Consequently, Lauda triumphed, with Scheckter, Watson, Price, Jones and Emerson Fittipaldi trailing. The next event was the Nürburgring Nordschleife, amid safety concerns from the drivers. Hunt took pole regardless. Lauda, after switching from wet to dry tires, was in the midfield despite a second-place start. Then the infamous accident occurred. Lauda crashed into the barriers. His Ferrari burst into flames and re-entered the track, colliding with Brent Langer, who was unharmed. Lauda's helmet came off during the crash, leaving him exposed to intense flames and nearly unconscious. Langer and other drivers attempted the rescue, but Lauda was trapped by his seatbelt. Arturo Mezzario, familiar with Ferrari's seatbelt system, managed to free Lauda, severely burned and slipping away unconscious. Lauda awaited an ambulance and received last rites in the hospital. With support from a friend and his doctor, he eventually recovered, the story to be continued later. Hunt won the race, with Scheckter, Mas, Passe, Nilsson and Stommelen in succession. In Austria, Ferrari boycotted the race due to Hunt's reinstatement as the Spanish Grand Prix winner, while Lauda was hospitalized, fighting for his life. Hunt secured pole position, and alongside Peterson and Watson they competed fiercely, with Watson ultimately winning, followed by Laffite, Nilsson, Hunt, Andretti and Peterson. In the Netherlands, Ferrari returned without Lauda. Peterson claimed pole, led initially, then was overtaken by Hunt and Watson, who dueled until Watson's gearbox failed. On his 29th birthday, Hunt triumphed, followed by Regazzoni, Andretti, Price, Scheckter and Brambilla. 6 weeks post-accident, Lauda made a remarkable return to Monza, despite burns, bandages and blood, rejoining not just F1 but the title fight itself. Laffite started on pole, but Passe led early on. Hunt retired, paving the way for Peterson's victory, followed by Regazzoni, Laffite and the resilient Lauda, who climbed from 12th to finish 4th, ahead of Scheckter and Depailler. In Canada, Hunt won from pole, with Depailler, Andretti, Scheckter, Mas and Regazzoni trailing. Lauda finished 8th, reducing his championship lead to just 8 points. At the US Grand Prix, Hunt again took pole and won, with Scheckter, Lauda, Mas, Stack and Watson following, bringing Lauda's lead down to a mere 3 points before the season's final race in Japan at Fuji. Andretti secured pole, Hunt was second, and Lauda third. Heavy rain on race day led some drivers to suggest cancellation, but the race proceeded. Lauda, still affected by his injuries, retired after a few laps. Hunt initially led, but a pit stop issue dropped him to third. Upon finishing, Hunt believed he had lost the championship, but his team confirmed his victory. Andretti won in a battle to the line with Depailler for the race win, whereas Lauda, losing the championship by just 1 point, flew back home immediately. Behind Hunt came Jones, Regazzoni and Nilsson. So behind Hunt and Lauda in the driver's race came Scheckter, Depailler, Regazzoni and so many more. Ferrari won the constructors from the McLaren Ford, Tyrrell Ford and so many more. In a dramatic second part of the season, Hunt took advantage of Lauda's injuries and became world champion. Lauda will be always remembered for his fight back, and he didn't stop there. This season even has a film named Rush about the Hunt-Lauda battle. The 28th season of Formula 1 would be the longest so far, with no more than 17 races on the calendar. And after an incredible 1976 season, Formula One was gaining even more popularity. The grid lined up in Argentina for the first race of the season as the return of his Grand Prix saw some changes, like Reutemann replacing Regazzoni at Ferrari. Hunt took pole, but the newest team on the grid, Wolf, won with Scheckter. Behind him came Passe, Reutemann, Emerson Fittipaldi, Andretti, and Regazzoni. In Brazil, Hunt once again took pole with Reutemann beside him. Passe took an early lead before colliding with Hunt. Hunt fought back to finish second behind Reutemann and ahead of Lauda, Emerson Fittipaldi, Nilsson, and new point scorer Renzo Zorzi. In South Africa, Hunt once again took pole from Passe and Depailler. During the race, Zorzi's car stopped beside the track because of engine issues, and when a marshal tried to bring an extinguisher from the other side of the track, he was hit by Price. He was killed, and because the extinguisher was dropped on Price's head, he was killed too. Rest in peace, both of them. With this happening, Lauda won from championship leader Scheckter, Depailler, Hunt, Mass, and Watson's Brabham. At Long Beach, Lauda took pole in a somber mood caused by the death in a plane crash of Carlos Pace. Scheckter was leading easily until one of his tires lost pressure and so finished third, as Andretti took a home win. From Lauda, Scheckter, of course Depailler, Emerson Fittipaldi and Jarier. In Spain, Andretti took pole and converted the win in a dominating fashion from Reutemann, Scheckter, Mass, Nilsson and Stack. The teams headed to Monaco for the 6th round of the season, where Watson took a surprise pole position. Scheckter took an early lead and battled with Watson until the South African pulled away and then Watson retired, and so Lauda hunted down Scheckter but couldn't pass him. So Scheckter extended his surprise championship lead as Lauda, Reutemann, Mass, Andretti and Jones followed him in the Principality. In Belgium, the start was delayed because of torrential rain, and when pole sitter Andretti got it wrong at the start, Watson was hit by him and then both retired. After changing tires to dry ones, Lauda and Nilsson battled for the win and the latter took his first Grand Prix win from Lauda, of course, Peterson, Brambilla, Jones and Stack. The teams moved to Northern Europe for the Swedish Grand Prix, where Andretti took pole, but after fuel problems, Ligier and Laffite took their first win from Mass, Reutemann, Depailler, Watson and Andretti. Most of the well-established drivers DNF'd the race, letting this result come true. In France, Andretti took his third consecutive pole position and this time hung on to win from Watson, Hunt, Nilsson, Lauda and Reutemann. With that, Lauda had 33 points in the drivers, closely followed by Andretti and Scheckter with 32 and Reutemann with 28 in the title battle. In Britain, Renault debuted in Formula One as well as Gilles Villeneuve debuting. Hunt was on pole as Watson took an early lead but retired, as did the Renaults. They had a new turbocharged car concept, which wasn't popular at all so far. Hunt won from Lauda, Nilsson, Mass, Stack and Laffite, letting Lauda extend his championship lead. The next stop was the Hockenheimring in Germany, which after the Nürburgring Nordschleife was banned after Lauda's crash the year before, returned to hosting the German Grand Prix for the first time since 1970. Scheckter was on pole from Watson. Lauda took the lead late on and won from Scheckter, Stack, Reutemann, Brambilla and a certain Patrick Tambay. In Austria, Lauda took home pole but Andretti took an early lead, but after a lot of retirements, Alan Jones took his first win from Lauda, Stack, Reutemann, Peterson and Mass. The circus then headed to Zandvoort, where Andretti was back on pole again, and he battled with Hunt until they collided, with Hunt retiring immediately. Andretti also retired later. Lauda would win again from Lafitte, Scheckter, Emerson Fittipaldi, Tambay and Reutemann. We headed to Monza for the end of the European season, where Hunt took pole. Scheckter led the early laps, then Andretti overtook him and eventually won from Lauda, Jones, Mas, Regazzoni and Peterson. With that, Ferrari were Constructors' champions. They then turned and headed to Watkins Glen, where Hunt once again took pole. Hunt finally won again from Andretti, Scheckter, now 1977 world champion Lauda, Regazzoni and Reutemann. With that, Lauda, who had signed a new contract with Brabham for 1978, decided to not participate in the final two races of the season, being replaced by Gilles Villeneuve at Ferrari. In Canada, Andretti took pole from Hunt and Peterson, and then Scheckter won from the pilot Mas, Jones, Tempe and Brambilla. In Japan, Andretti was once again on pole, but retired after the first lap collision. So Hunt won from Reutemann, the pilot, Jones, Lafitte and Riccardo Patrese. Lauda won the championship by 17 points to Scheckter, 25 to Andretti, 50 to Reutemann, 52 to Hunt, and so on. Ferrari rounded up the constructors from Lotus Ford, McLaren Ford, Wolf Ford, and so on. It was the second championship in 3 years for Lauda, who still had some injuries from his 1976 big crash. Next time, we look at the end of the 1970s and the beginning of the 80s. Thank you for watching. I did this at 11:30 p.m. Like, subscribe, and goodbye.